The hidden cost of being a people pleaser. There's a certain kind of exhaustion that comes from being a people pleaser. The kind that settles deep into your bones. A tiredness that doesn't go away no matter how much you rest. Because the truth is, it's not your body that's tired, it's your spirit. It's the weight of constantly molding yourself into what everyone else needs, wants, prefers, expects. It's the pressure of being agreeable, likable, easy, flexible, understanding, patient. People admire you for being so kind, so accommodating, so selfless. They call you dependable, supportive, a good person. And maybe you are all those things, but what they don't see is the price you pay for constantly putting everyone else first. They don't see how many times you abandon yourself to avoid disappointing others. They don't see how much of your identity has been shaped by the fear of being rejected, judged, or misunderstood. They don't see that you learned to please people not because you wanted to, but because you had to. People-pleasing usually starts long before adulthood. Maybe you grew up in a home where love felt conditional, where affection came when you behaved, stayed quiet, performed well, or didn't cause problems. Maybe you had a parent whose moods dictated the entire house, so you learned to read every facial expression, every shift in tone, every sigh, just to stay safe. Maybe you were the one who kept the peace during arguments, who smoothed over tension, who absorbed everyone else's emotions to avoid conflict. Or maybe you learned that having needs made you a burden, so you buried them. You learned that being good meant being easy. You learned that being yourself wasn't enough, so you became who people wanted you to be. And with every silent compromise, every swallowed emotion, every forced smile, you built an identity around being the pleasing one, the one who never says no. The hidden cost of this is something people rarely talk about. When you spend your life pleasing others, you lose the ability to recognize your own desires. You become so used to anticipating what everyone else wants that you forget to ask yourself what you want. Your instincts become blurry. Your preferences feel irrelevant. Your boundaries disappear because they were never allowed to exist in the first place. You tell yourself you're being kind, helpful, generous, but deep down, it's not kindness, it's fear. Fear that saying no will make someone angry. Fear that disappointing someone will make them leave. Fear that being honest about your feelings will make you unlovable. So you overextend yourself, not because you have a big heart, but because you're terrified of conflict. You're terrified of rejection. You're terrified of being seen as anything other than perfect. And the world takes advantage of this. Not always intentionally, but consistently. People who need help go straight to you because you'll say yes. People who want something done know you'll handle it because you always do. People unload their emotional baggage onto you because you listen without complaining. And while you're busy taking care of everyone else, nobody stops to ask how you're doing. They assume you're fine. They assume you're okay with carrying the weight. They assume your yes means you're willing, but your yes often means, I don't feel like I have a choice. It means, I'd rather hurt myself than risk hurting you. It means, if I say no, I'm afraid of what that says about me. That's not a real yes. That's survival. Here's the part that hurts the most. Being a people pleaser doesn't earn you the love you think it will. You give endlessly and still feel unseen. You accommodate everyone's needs and still feel unappreciated. You go out of your way for others and still feel like you're never the one anyone fights for. Because the love you receive is based on the role you play, not the person you are. People fall in love with your compliance, not your truth. They love the version of you that's convenient, not the version that's real. And that leaves you feeling lonelier than being alone ever could because you're surrounded by people who love the mask you wear, not the face underneath. People pleasing also creates resentment. You say yes while your heart says no. You give while you're running on empty. You support people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. And then you get angry quietly, secretly, because you feel used, invisible, unimportant, but that anger has nowhere to go because you don't feel allowed to express it. So it turns inward. It becomes shame. It becomes anxiety. It becomes a tightening in your chest every time someone asks you for something. It becomes the internal voice that says you're selfish for wanting more, that sees you ungrateful for feeling tired, that says you should just keep giving because that's who you are. You start to believe the lie that your worth depends on what you can offer others. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. People pleasing isn't kindness, it's abandoning your needs to meet someone else's. It's shrinking yourself so others can be comfortable. It's silencing your voice to avoid disappointing people who never think twice about disappointing you. It's pretending you're okay so the world doesn't have to deal with your feelings. And while you think you're being generous, what you're really doing is teaching people that your needs don't matter, that your boundaries are flexible, that your time is available, that your energy is unlimited. You're teaching them how to treat you by never showing them who you really are. Healing begins when you admit the truth. You don't have to earn love by being useful. You don't have to be agreeable to be accepted. You don't have to be perfect to be valued. You don't have to hide your needs to keep people close. Real love doesn't require you to disappear. Real love doesn't punish you for being honest. Real love doesn't fade when you set boundaries. The people who truly care about you will not fall apart when you say no. They will not leave because you stopped bending. They will not love you less because you chose yourself. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to disappoint people sometimes. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to protect your peace. And the moment you start honoring yourself, something incredible happens. The relationships built on your silence begin to fall away, and the relationships built on your truth begin to appear. Because the real cost of people-pleasing isn't the exhaustion. It's losing yourself. But the moment you choose yourself, again, even just once, you start becoming someone you've never been allowed to be. Someone whole, someone honest, someone real. And that version of you doesn't need to please anyone to be loved.